Hi, my name is Lauren, and today I'm going to show you how you can survive your first day in 7 Days to Die. So if you're just a new player or maybe just struggling to survive, this is maybe up your alley, but not something you've checked out yet, either one of those categories. If that applies to you, this is for you. All right, so let's get started in here. So we're going to click on New Game, and then How to Survive Day 1 in Navigaine, and start. So if you are new to the game, you can click Navigaine, Pre-Generated 1, Pre-Generated 2. All of those maps are going to be exactly the same every time you play them. So if you are new and you'd like to look up a map, some people find that to be cheating and other people just find it to be helpful. So it really depends on how you like to play the game. So for all intents and purposes, today we've decided to go to Navigaine. So if you are just starting out and you want to be just a completely involved into this world, it is totally theoretically possible that you could be in this city with a map and it would not be considered cheating. So it all just depends on your play style and how you want to play your game. And don't let anybody tell you that it's cheating if you enjoy the way that you play. All right, so first thing is first, when you spawn into the game, you're going to see, and I will do this real quick, that you need to craft a bedroll and you need to gather plant fiber. So I like to do all of these super fast and straight away. So as soon as you're able to do that, hit tab and make your bedroll. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get all of these things done so that we can get a skill point, or actually a couple of skill points. And I obviously, I have messed with my game so much. I have like reverted it when I went and on a Twitch series, went back to Alpha 8. This game has gone through many alphas. This one is 19.3. But somewhere along the way, my character has disappeared, but it is not a bug. It is a feature, and I love it. Anyways, so we have crafted our bedroll because we want to sink our skill points into one of these. So let's go ahead and place, just hold shift and click. And we're just gonna throw it right about here. If possible, you could always put it inside of a house, but don't worry, since once you put it down, you could always pick it up and move it. But once we have that, we want to gather more plant fibers and some wood. What you want to do is go up to a maybe like burnt twiggy looking bush. Oh, actually, where are one of those? Hello? Yeah, that's gonna have 100 health, so that's not very helpful. Yeah, we're literally in a burnt zone, so this really shouldn't. It's just being testy right now. It's being aggravating. All right. Usually when you spawn too, you're not going to see a ton of zombies. It is going to give you a couple of minutes of a break, so you're not going to spawn in and have to fight something as soon as you're adjusting to your surroundings. We also happen to spawn in a burnt zone, which is not my favorite place to spawn, but also not the worst place either. If I had to rank the absolute worst place to spawn, that would absolutely have to be the snow zone. If you are in this biome or one with a bunch of cacti, then you at least have some yucca plants. They have nerfed it in the past couple of alphas, but that's still not a terrible beginning. So as long as you are not in the snow zone, I say go ahead. Oh man, okay, they're really hiding these. Right here, this guy. Ta-da! And then we just have to look for stone. Those are feathers, just kind of collecting things along the way. Also going through trash. Here is a stone right there. And the thing with stones is anytime that you need a stone, you cannot find one. It's always very inconvenient. So once you craft your axe, what I love to do is to make sure that you don't have to go on those stone hunts anymore. Go ahead and just find a rock and hit it. It only takes one rock to repair your stone axe with. That is actually cool, which would be fantastic if we were a little bit farther advanced. Also, you're going to have to get more fibers in order to craft fiber clothes. So go ahead and again, do those as soon as possible. They have some nifty little exclamation marks right there for you. We can also collect some wood as well. Craft. Oh, oops, my bad. I haven't played the beginning in a while. So we're going to go ahead and wear those clothing because that is also something that we need to do in order to progress further to get those points. We have to craft a wooden club, which is why we went and beat on this tree for a little bit. We're going to get a little bit more wood. We've already been looking through those bird nests, so we have enough feathers to make some starting arrows as well. So all of this is coming at you really fast. Don't worry about it. We're just trying to get through this to show you the quickest way to survive in your first day. So go ahead and get that done. Craft the bow and the ammo, which again will be right up at the top there for you. Very nicely, conveniently in front of your face. Shift click again to put it in our hotbar. And grab a little bit more wood so we can start a base. Now, I do not recommend waiting to do this to start a base. You do not have to find a place that you want to make your base. Oftentimes where you spawn is not going to be where you want to make that base at all. So go ahead, it's again right there, craft that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place this, and I like to have this not too far from the sleeping bag. I typically don't pick up the sleeping bag. If you craft another sleeping bag, it will automatically respawn you there. So don't worry about if you leave that sleeping bag. And also, if you pick it up, if you want to move and then you die, you will respawn in a completely random place. So I do not advise that. Leaving sleeping bags around is not a bad thing. And you can always go back and collect them or destroy them later. So I didn't find a boulder, but there is these cinder blocks right here, which is totally beautiful. And we are just getting to the point of the game. Since it's about 8:50, almost 9, that zombies are going to start spawning. It's not that you're not going to run into any of them when you first log in, but they do tend to give you a bit of a break. So now that we've been in the game for a minute or two, they are going to start appearing, which you don't have to worry too much. We are playing on regular settings. So as soon as you set down your fire, what you want to do is head to the trader. And then we just pray that we have Jen, because she's beautiful and the only girl in the game. All right, so we are not going to craft anything. We are not too hungry yet. And fortunately, that trader is not that far away. So we're just going to run a little bit this way. At this point, you should have 4 skill points available. What I love to do is I automatically want to put that in Sexual Tyrannosaurus. So it reduces your melee and tool stamina by 8% and power attacks by 15%. Go ahead and nab this one. And if you are more experienced in the game and you have other skill trees that you would like to go through, that is absolutely fine. This is just what I typically do in order to get my first day in a good position to survive. I often do a lot of permadeath runs, so this is how I survive. I'm also going to put one into cardio. So now our stamina regen is increased by 10% when we sprint. And I am going to do that before we hike all the way over to the trader. I also love to go into Pummel Pete. I want to make sure that we have the perk as we go, as well as if we have to fight anything, then we're going to have a little bit better stamina. I'm going to take a peek, and yeah. I'm going to not let this lady sneak up on me. So, if you've ever played Call of Duties in the zombie mode, you want to do the same thing where you kind of hit and back up and hit and back up. You get bonus damage if they're on their back, so that's fine. We like to call this one Big Mama, and you can see her panties. All right. Now we have a couple of more skill points to sync. Bear with me here. I believe that the last one is... Let me just check and make sure. So as you can see, these ones are locked. So until you up your strength level, you are not going to be able to progress through this skill tree quite yet. What I like to do is I like to put the last one in either healing factor or in scavenging. If you up it into scavenging, you'll get better stuff. But for the meantime, lucky looter, sorry, I said scavenging, but it's specifically lucky looter. In the meantime, I am actually going to select this one just in case we run into any kind of trouble along the way, because I don't plan on being so slow that we need to go through things to find food and water. If you can find your way to a trader, most likely you're going to be fine for food and water, at least for a little bit. Food and water can be a little bit difficult if you're playing in groups, depending on what your settings are, depending on if you have people that like to stay behind, and depend on people who scout and forage for food. But so long as you can make it over to a trader, typically it's not a problem. Traders give you options to do missions for them, in which case they give you dukes, which is the in-game currency. So if you don't have any food, you can go to the vending machine outside a trader and purchase food and water. I typically don't, but depending on like how far you are in the game, again, it might be that you've advanced so much that you just want to buy specific food to make recipes, which you can make in the campfire, and that's fine too. But for day one, we're just going to make our way over to the trader and not worry too much about food and water, since we seem to be okay at the moment. And also, if you're confused as to how you can check for your food and water, you can see down below there, the green is your food and the water is your water. It's kind of in your hot bar, which can be easily missed. All right. Perfect. We're not that far away. I heard one of the other zombies, but again, when you're just starting out, it's not super important to go in to fight them. You're going to have ample time to go and beat the tar out of any zombie that you want. We're just making sure that we have a nice, adequate place to rest before it gets to be nighttime. What happens with nighttime is the zombies are able to run, and they can very much overwhelm you on your first, oh my goodness, day. Oops, sorry. Let me get my bearings about me. All right, so this is our first trader, which I believe is going to be Jen.
The name's Jenny.
Beautiful.
But you can call me Dr. Jen.
Hello, yes, Jen. All right, so then we're going to see what job she has. So you can clear zombies, you can find buried supplies. Buried supplies is oftentimes going to have either dukes or food, so this is not a bad one to pick up in the beginning. Fetch has you go into POIs, or points of interest. But for, let me see here. Usually I'm between these two. Clear zombies is going to be when you have a little bit better of weapons, because you have to clear every single zombie inside of a POI. So I'm going to select the fetch, since it's only 270 meters away.
Yeah. Fantastic.
It's a tier 1
Hope to see you soon.
fetch quest. And then you can also see what she has in her inventory. If you were starving for food, anything that you pick up along the way you can sell to her. We typically don't have a lot that we want to sell. Lead can be made into bullets, as well as brass for the bullet casings. And we have 3 dukes that we've somehow found along the way.
Every time someone was just looking, I'd be as rich as Trader
And
Joel.
here is the vending machine, which there is actually not a lot of things in here. So we have some lamb rations if we get really hungry, a can of peas, or some red tea if we get thirsty. You do start out with 1 food and 1 water, which will get you pretty much through the first day. The other thing that you can also do is steal, which is one of my favorite things to do in game. It's also to be noted that while you were inside the trader's POI, that no zombies, so long as you don't live in a barn and close the doors behind you, cannot get to you. However, you are kicked out at 2200, which is 10 p.m. inside the game. So while it's fine to chill here in the daytime, at the point where the zombies are the most vicious, you will be kicked out. If you are still in the POI, when the trader closes, you will be teleported outside. So she didn't have a ton of stuff, and there's not really stuff up on the top there. But pretty much you can go through all of their containers and pretty much take what you want. There is no consequence. They don't know that you've stolen from them. They might implement that later, perhaps not. But at least if you find things in here, you could potentially sell them. Also, it is good to note that you cannot break anything within here as well. You'll hear that obnoxious noise, which means a couple of blocks outside of the traders as well, you won't be able to pick things up or smash them either. But you can search through them. This is a destroyed cement mixer, but occasionally they will have whole mixers in POIs, so just be on the lookout if their equipment actually works. Both the science station and that one did not work, but let me check the forge, which is also destroyed. It all just depends on how your spawn goes, so go ahead and check for that. And we are off. We are a lot faster than the zombies, so again, you don't have to worry so much about beating them up. And the other point about picking up a quest right at the start is that it will typically take you to a town. See, this is not my optimal spawn point, but again, we chose Navigaine, so if we wanted to refer back to the map, then we can absolutely do that. It depends on your playstyle, again. But getting a mission from the trader, which again is one of those starting quests, is a surefire way to at least find some kind of town. Now, the one drawback to this biome is that there will be birds, and birds are obnoxious. Birds are terrible. Fun fact, Birds used to be hornets that gave you honey, which makes absolutely no sense, but they were terrifying. Also, oh, this is beautiful. All right, so if you search inside these mailboxes, which, by the way, in the United States of America is a felony to read other people's mail and to open it, but it doesn't matter because the world is ending. There's a zombie apocalypse. You can go ahead and find all of those gun schematics. Fuck yes, America. Oh, don't mind the quacking. Heck yes, America. So go ahead and go through those to see if you can find some schematics. And now you have a choice here. So this is what we like to call double dipping. So potentially you can go through this house and you can wipe everything and get all of the good stuff from here. And you can go back and start the mission. And the mission will reset everything as if you had never gone in there. So if you are really hurting, let's say that you're actually late game and you've gone through a lot of the resources in that town. This will respawn all of those resources. This also makes it so that you can repetitiously do missions. And makes it so that you won't run out of those later on. So you have the choice whether you just want to start the quest or to go in and double dip. So let's actually go in and double dip since we don't have a lot of food. We also want to make sure that we are being careful. And not going in too quickly because sometimes zombies won't hear you for a while, which means that they're going to come up behind you. And also, if you can land a headshot, beautiful things happen. This is also why we try to level up into Pummel Pete. Since we don't have guns yet, we can always advance down the gun skill tree later, but there is no possible way that you're going to be making guns this early into the game. The devs have also made it to where loot more or less scales with you. So the first things that you're going to find are crossbow bolts, arrows, blunderbusses. So it's not a ton of it doesn't make a ton of sense if you scale into guns first. So always, at least in my personal opinion, melee first. You also need to look for these sort of mismatched boards. You can tell that there's something wrong and misplaced with them, so if you go ahead and do this, you'll often find hidden supplies. This can also appear on the wall. If you find any paintings, smash them. And there are some hidden things that you can find. You also want to make sure to pay attention in the upper left-hand corner. If the book is open, you've already read it. If the book is closed, it's a skill that you haven't learned yet. This is a Lucky Looter book. This is volume 7. So this is going to help you find more things when you scavenge around. And for this one in particular, it helps us find more bandages and in general, just more useful items. Also, while we're on the topic, we have all of these skills and we also have this tab, which is perk books. So these are not things that you can skill up into. You have to find them randomly throughout the world. If you complete the entire set, which each set has 7, it will give you a reward which is on the bottom. So for example, the Art of Mining, if you found all of the books, you can have a 20% chance to one-shot any ore. And that's going to come in handy later when you're trying to make your own bullets and you're trying to make your own gunpowder out of coal and nitrate. So let's go ahead and go through this bookcase as well. And all cupboards will have a chance for food. Obviously, as you skill up your Lucky Looter, which is a skill that you can put your perk points into, you'll find more chances or food. And if you're someone who loves to listen to music while you game, just be wary that this is a game where you definitely can get an advantage by hearing the zombie footprints. And mind you, the devs love to put zombies in places where you would not expect them. So expect them to drop from the ceilings, to be just around the corner when you walk into the room, and go ahead and take it slow. Running into a room will sometimes alert more zombies than is necessary. So you can kill one zombie and then kind of creep into the room as to not alert the others. Another thing to be wary of is when you go into POIs, watch your back. Zombies can come in from the outside, so if they're wandering around or if there's a wandering horde and you're doing a mission like this one, it is entirely possible that they can come in through places that you've already cleared. And as you can see, many of the zombies have hiding spots, and as you play the game, you will find what those are and what to look out for. All right, so we can go ahead and pick that up, which we can scrap later if we so choose to. And we can kind of get through this guy real quick. And that will be the sound of our first bird, which is not going to be fantastic. We're going to let that bird kind of chill out as we go through this POI first. Mainly just because I don't want to deal with him. Yep, he's chilling. And also, there's absolutely no reason for me strafing around like this. I just get anxious. Alright, so headshots obviously do the most damage. This is fantastic. Again, on regular settings, I have not made this easier nor harder. So this is just if you pop in and you're doing your normal stuff, this is how it's going to be. The zombies can and will get harder as you progress. And what we're going to do right now is swap these and scrap this guy since we found a level 2. And here is our first bird. So you want to be really careful with these guys. So we've killed this one pretty nice. If we chop them up, we'll get a little bit of undead meat, some bones, which you can melt down for glue, and also some feathers. Mainly, I just do it because I don't like them. All right, and then there's also these that you can beat up for polymers, and also a little bit of paper. It depends on if you like shotguns. I don't really like to go into shotguns so much. I love sticking melee for most of the game. If not for the ferals, I probably would mainly just go melee. But if you are huge into shotguns, make sure that you go ahead and save that paper so you can make the shotgun shells a little bit later. All right, and then we have another hider. So let's go ahead and use our bow. If you are crouching, you can do some crouch damage. Oh, buddy. And occasionally, these guys will just get a little antsy. So let's go ahead and beat this guy up. That one's going to wake up, but that's fine. Again, they do like to hide around the corners, so I wanted to get a jump on him. And also, if you are not a huge person into zombies, or if you're just not so sure about being, oh my goodness, a little bit afraid, we're going to take some damage here. They can get zombie rage and run at you. And it could be a little bit frightening, but you do spawn with one bandage. Please use it wisely. We just used it, but we can kind of ran out of a little bit of stamina there. Totally fine. Still on track. I lost my sentence. That's fine. Continue on. All right. So we also have some food here. And if you guys will remember, we also picked up a little bit of cotton. So let's go ahead and turn that into cloth. Whether or not you have medicated bandages, it's always nice to have bandages to make sure that you're not bleeding out, because you will recover your health over time. But if you are bleeding out, you are on a time crunch to make sure that that is not going to kill you. So let's turn that into cloth, and then from cloth into bandages. We can make 4, so let's do that because we are running a little bit lower on time. So before it is nighttime, what we want to do is we want to find a nice rooftop. So preferably we would love to have a flat rooftop that is somewhat enclosed so that we don't have any coincidental birds fly over or zombies spy a fire if we're cooking food at night. I'm not sure if we're going to get to go through this mission at all. You will get rewards for doing missions, and we did go to the POI. I showed you the double dipping. I explained it at least, but we didn't get to the part where we actually go to the cache. What you are going to do is you're going to find a satchel at some point when you go through this house, and it will kind of show you with a little, oh, I'm not sure what you call it, with a little thing on your screen that will make sure that you know where it is, so you're not going to run around unable to find it for hours and hours on end. It will guide you to where the supply cache is. So we are going to leave that for now because it's getting to be a little bit towards nighttime. So let's just knock this guy out real quick, and what we're going to try to do is just find a nice roof to roost in before the night. I would say of all tips for day 1, that is definitely the most prominent that I could give you. You're also going to have to watch for this. We can and will be encumbered by some things. So there is some pure mineral water, and there is also this nice coffee. We're going to scrap this chair. So just make sure that most of your items fall into this category. If there's a couple of other slots filled with items, that's fine. Since we can find fiber anywhere, we are just going to go ahead and toss that. And then we can also scrap these as well, since scrap metal is going to be useful in this game. And we can kind of continue on and just trying to find a flat roof. One of the best POIs to house in would definitely be a pop and pills, which is a medicine area for you to go rifle through, especially if you're infected, which you can get infected in this game. So if a zombie comes through and they hit you, you will have an infection icon kind of around here. And you will have a specific amount of time before it's too late. If you can find honey, that too, as long as you're not above a 5% infection, which again will show up in your lower left-hand corner. If you can find honey, then you don't have to worry about having an infection. It can cure up to 5%, and they do stack, which means if you have a 7% infection, but you have 2 honeys, you are absolutely fine. All right, so let's find a good place to roost. Oh. All right, not in there. Totally fine. And again, it really depends on your playstyle, whether you want to cheese it a little bit in the game, or if you want to play it very stringently lifelike. So, for example, one of the most helpful things you could possibly do is nerd pull. So with the wood that we have, what you can do is put these on your hotbar. So let's put that one back. And you basically Minecraft it. Everyone knows Minecraft. So you go ahead and hop in place and hop in place. And here you are. And you can also take them back from behind you so as not to waste your limited resources. And there is also a bag here. If you don't want a chance hopping around, you can always hop on those. So they're really awesome for gaps. We found some tough guy sunglasses, so that's going to increase your fortitude. Let's go ahead and wear these. And let's also check our character model. We are doing snazzy. Look at this fine body that you cannot see. It's okay because it leaves some mystery, you know? Definitely some mystery. These also mark where some good loot is. So if you ever see any lamps or shining lights, those typically point you in the direction of having a supply cache. So go ahead and go towards those. Just be wary because there will be zombies. And there will oftentimes be a couple of extra traps in there. For example, you could also see them in here. And if you press M, you can also pull up the map. We did not... We did not mark where the trader is, but as soon as we're done with this mission, it'll have us go back to the trader. You do want to mark your waypoints. I believe this is the trader that we passed, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a save waypoint. We're going to put this here, and we're going to put Trader Jen. And you can really put anything that you want there. And this is probably not an optimal town to house in, but you always have to be wary of your time. Again, when it becomes a certain time, they will start to run. So if you want to make your base in a place like this, that would be totally fine. Typically, the zombies aren't going to be able to get up here. You can also build more walls, and if you want to get back up here, you can nerd pull, no big deal. Now let us see. Do we want to risk it for the biscuit is also the question. You can see that anytime you leave your sleeping bag, it will have a little bunk bed icon. We passed a river, which is great. If we go more south, we'll probably get into more of the burnt biome, which I don't love. And I think in the interest of exploration, we'll go a little bit north and see if we can find a place maybe not in this burnt biome. All right, and we also collected a spear, which is fantastic. Also, this is going to be the paper you start off with. You do not need this, so go ahead and just scrap that into paper. Let us see here. You always want your bandages to be on your hotbar, as well as some water, just in case you catch yourself on fire, which happens more than you would think that it does. At least for some of us, and especially if you play with other players. You can add modifications to your weapons and or tools to make them a little bit better. As you can see, though we don't have a gun, we do have a shotgun choke mold. Sorry, not mold, mod. So if you want to put things onto your weapons, one of those is called a burning shaft. Thank you, fun pimps. You can light your friends on fire. So if you're playing a multiplayer game, I highly suggest taking that player damage off, or if you're on a multiplayer server, checking to see if you have player damage on the server. And then in the interest of not going as slow, pain pills are another thing that you really should just put on your hotbar. We're going to throw our claim block. Again, that's really just if you're playing with other people. Scrap polymers. I'm not into shotguns. Again, don't hate me, okay? Some people get really upset if you throw away the paper. The moldy bread you can make by antibiotics, but we don't have the skill point for that just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and throw out some of the things that we can't use quite yet. Again, these items will be helpful, but a little bit later when we have a base. And again, it does scale up. The more items you have when you're over encumbered, the less fast you're going to go. So having 1 or 2 items over that kind of lightened up inventory place is not going to be the end of the world, but as you progressively stack things, you do get a little bit slower. Also, if you want to check on your progress, the purple section of your hotbar down below is going to show you how many skill points until your next level. So we are about a little more than halfway. I don't know if that would exactly be something that we can do today, just because we're on a mission to find a place at night so that we don't die to the nighttime, because they start to run. And if that's not your thing, if you're not into zombies running, or maybe that freaks you out, it's just not how you want to play at first. One of the things that I love about this game is the option to kind of make the zombies into what you want them to be. So if you're not huge into zombies at all, if you're just a survivalist, then that's totally fine. You can go in and you can actually turn zombies off. The one thing I don't believe you can turn off is animals. So you will run into animals at some point, and they could be really difficult at the start. So that is the one downside that I'm hoping that they let us toggle on and off in the future. But if you're just a survivalist, maybe you're into Fallout, but more of them, you know, more like building side and just trying to scout and have a farm, then this game can still be for you. It doesn't have to be full of zombies, even though it's 7 days to die. If you're not into the idea, which we will get into right now, if you're not into the idea of having zombies try to find where you are every 7 days, that's okay too. You can actually turn blood moons off. So if you're not familiar with what that is in this game in particular, every 7 days, no matter where you are, whether you've dug really far down or you've made the most amazing base where no zombie could possibly know where you are, that is not going to happen. They will find you. It used to be that you could dig into like the bedrock and they would have no idea where you are. Then they instigated digging, so wherever you make your base, they will find you no matter how good it is. So it's nothing on your building skills. But if you don't like that idea, you can turn the blood moon off. You can also decide if you want the zombies to be extra weak or if you want them to be insanely strong. If you want them to run in the daytime or if you only want them to run at night or if you never want them to run at all. So it's really customizable, which is one of the things I just love when I'm talking about this game. I've been playing it for about 4 years and it just has a playstyle for anyone interested in a survival-esque game. So one of the things that I love to look for, again, we're going to look for something like a pop-in pills. We did pass a work and stiff tools, which you're going to you're going to love some of the names in this game, especially if you have kind of an adult sense of humor or a play on words type of personality. Yes, dad jokes, please. So what we are currently looking for is something that has a flat top, preferably with a ladder. You're going to see over here that this is a hospital. We are in one of the main towns, which again, if you wanted to, you can always look up this map. I would type in 19.3 and then Navigain if you do play on this one so that you will get the appropriate map. Navigain is pre-generated. Again, you can do a random world map as well. I keep comparing it for Minecraft too. So you just type in whatever. You can smash the keyboard. It'll make you a brand new map that no one has ever seen before, most likely. And that's totally fine if you don't want to know where you're going. But otherwise, this will appear. You can find it. Just make sure that you do type in which alpha this is because we've gone through so many alpha versions. So as you can see, we are running out of time. It is 18:37 right now. So we just have to find something with a flat roof. Since I wasted a lot of this time kind of just gathering things and going through that one mission place, we're actually going to head back a little bit and we are going to go towards the working stiff tools. The only part that I'm a little bit not looking forward to is that it is getting a little bit late and you will have to clear that building. In the earlier versions of this game, zombies did not spawn inside. But that is not true for the current alpha version. If you are also just new to playing the more updated versions as opposed to alphas 8, 9, 10, we are on version 19. So, I just want to heal up this real quick. We'll repair this guy. We can also nerd pull up and kind of skip clearing that POI if we really want to in the interest of time, which might be what we end up doing. And typically, you are pretty safe on a flat roof. You just want to make sure that the zombies don't have any way to get in, or not inside, but to get up from inside. So some places will have ladders going up to the roof, and they'll have a hatch. The zombies can climb up ladders, and they can break through those hatches, so just be wary of that. So we're going to nerd pull. And there are going to be zombies on top of the roof as well, but I think that we can clear them pretty decently. I'm also going to... Oh no, we don't want to get rid of the oil shale. We're gonna push through this because I'm a pack rat and a bad example. But if you can also set down a chest, and you can put a bunch of things in there to retrieve it later. So if you're really encumbered but you don't have a good spot for the night, go ahead and lay down a chest. You don't need any tables to build it, or at least not unmodded. So this is completely vanilla. And for the people who don't understand that, we'll get into that at a later date. There's a million different things you can do in this game, and the mods just make it way more interesting and way harder. But I highly, highly, highly suggest that before you go and check those out in a serious capacity of wanting to play those versions, that you have a decent amount of hours sinking into vanilla first. It's always nice. I recommend that for any game. But to make sure that you understand the differences between vanilla and mods is greatly helpful. And we're also going to find another bird friend. Oh my goodness, and we are out of stamina. Be gone, foul demon! I'm also not landing a lot of these hits. I want to make sure not to sprint, because that's going to waste some of my stamina as well. That's also why we try sinking all of those skill points in the very beginning in stamina. Is again, we don't have a lot of hits before we get a little exhausted. So if you're running around and hitting things, you will come to have, like we have a couple of times, a problem with being able to hit back. So if you right click, it's a power hit. If you left click, it's a little bit weaker, but doesn't take as much stamina. And you also want to consistently be checking behind you because, again, they will kind of sneak up on you. And there's him coming up through the ladder. That's fine. Come here. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue clearing this. You will quickly recognize what character models are actually dead and what character models are not actually as dead as you would think that they are. That's another place where things can be hidden, although it might be a decoy. What I like to do with any kind of ladder, which is why I go through the aforementioned POIs, is that nighttime can get a little bit boring. So what I want to do is I want to make a wooden hatch. And this is one of my favorite things to do in the game. Hello, sir. So you want to put this... Oh, my goodness. You want to put this guy right there, and they're going to jump over. And that is because we need to do a little bit more to this than I have at this second. They're going to start running at 2200 hours, so let me just kind of beat these guys up, and then I will show you the handy-dandy nifty trick, which is why I tell you to find one of these buildings with a ladder up to it. It will also make nighttime a little less boring, especially if you're trying to permadeath or you really don't want to die in the game, which typically it bothers me if I do. I've had so many hours. Every time I die, I just feel like I am trash. So let's avoid that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of those. I'm going to collect some wood right here. So just enough for us to make a couple of frames and upgrade them and not have any problems. I also want to make sure that I've collected all the things that I'm going to need at night. So we want to make sure that we can get a campfire going. We don't have a cooking pot yet, which is not great, but you can still make a couple of basic things in the fire. We did scrap our cans, which is not fantastic, but that's fine. And then if you can just find a rock to make sure that you have ample resources in order to fix your axe, that will also save you, because running out of rocks and having a broken axe and having to run around and pick up the miscellaneous stones is honestly not my favorite aspect of this game. So just make sure that you're prepared. That's on me, not the game devs. All right, and as soon as you get into kind of more sophisticated buildings, so not just wood frames but concrete, you are going to love places like this. If you can find cement instead of having to make it into the forge, that's going to be fantastic, which is why when I was throwing things out and we were running, I had a hard time. Because even though we're only showing how to survive the first day, I don't want to set any bad examples. You definitely want to see if you can leave some chests around. Again, you can mark a bunch of things on the map if you really have to. There's no limit to how much that you can mark on the map. And thus we get to the second part of why you should find buildings like this. So we're going to make a couple of more wood frames, hopefully before this next zombie comes up, so I can show you why this works. Also be careful of structural integrity. Unlike Minecraft, these can fall. So you have to make sure to pay attention to how far you're building out, because they will collapse. And depending on what material you're working with, they can build out a little bit farther. I'm not going to tell you how far that is because I consistently forget and I don't want to be responsible for your death. All right, so we're going to make that out of this. We're also going to fortify this guy. And then we're also going to fix this because I have steered you wrong. So what you want to do is you want to have 2 here, and then a supporting block here and 1 here. It's not the end of the world because they can't stack up if you're 1 higher, so it's totally fine. But you want to make sure that there's only a 2 block space here. So this is going to block 1 of them. I believe in the next update they might change this, but for Alpha 19.3 this totally works. And again, because they have this way up to you, they are more likely to crawl up the ladder due to their AI rather than try to break anything in the building down. If they have a path to get here, this seems like it's the easiest way to get to us, therefore they're most likely going to come up this way. And in the meantime, because I want to pay attention to this way, I'm just going to build some stuff kind of in this area and kind of watch out of the corner of my eye if they come up to our ladder. So because I don't leave the fires any place where I can step on them, which is definitely how you're going to light yourself on fire if you do put them on the ground and kind of forget where they are or have them close to any walkways. I love to have them raised off the ground. So let's go ahead and start a campfire over here as well. And if you're a troll like me, you will probably rejoice in the fact that you can go into advanced rotation. So just go ahead and hold R. And you can set your fire on the wall. So if you also wanted to have this on the bottom block, that's fine. I like to have it kind of right here where I can see it and I know where it's going to be. I kind of debated as I did this if I wanted to put it on there or on the wall, but when it's on the wall, it's just fantastic. You can also put it on the ceiling so long as you have a block underneath it. So if you put a wood sign, and I don't have nails so I cannot show you, but if you have a wood sign right here and then this were to be the ceiling, if so long as you put that wood sign there, you could put your fire on the top and you can guarantee that you will never walk into it. So let's go ahead and put some of these on here. We don't have any meat, but if we did, we can put some meat on this to make charred meat. You can make bacon and eggs and all of that if you've unlocked a skill point into cooking. Since we're not necessarily all of that hungry and we do have a can of chili, I'm not too worried about it, and we also have some ample water. Oh, and we have some large beef rations. Let's go ahead and eat this. That noise that you just heard means that they are now prepared to run. So I don't advise going out at night unless you absolutely need something. This is also an opportunity, since we have placed ourselves on the roof, to go ahead and loot everything on the roof. And also to make a chest so we won't become encumbered. So you can also put these on the wall, but unlike the fire, you don't necessarily need to have anything underneath them. Also, these are automatically locked. If you're playing with friends, it will annoy them that you have to hold E and press unlock. So even if you're on the same team, you can still lock your chest and kind of have your own stuff. So if you're not into sharing, go ahead and leave it locked, but otherwise, make sure that you don't lock the food and then leave, because even if you break the box, it's just gonna cause problems. Alright, so let's put all the stuff down that we don't necessarily need. So these things will be used later. Unless you want to make more bandages, there's not necessarily a use for cloth on here. We do have an empty can. So go ahead and keep the empty can just in case. I've gone through so many alphas. I do believe that you can make water without a cooking pot if you have cans. Please don't quote me on that. You might need snowballs for it. So we're going to go ahead and put these. I might keep the feathers just because we can make a couple of arrows. The light's not going to be super helpful, although you can equip it if you don't have anything, but we do have a torch. Do keep in mind that anything that uses heat and produces light can draw more zombies to your area. The vitamins are also going to help you resist disease and cure fatigue, so those are nice and handy to have. I'm going to have to put the paper down, and then we're going to keep the repair kits on us just in case we come across anything that needs that. We can also set down the bullets because we don't have any guns quite yet. And we will keep this because we have a bow on us. And since we have ample water, I might just swap these out. These are for pure mineral water. It helps you have efficient digestion. So if you don't have a lot of food, you can go ahead and drink one of those first and then eat your can of food. Since we do need a little bit, I'm going to drink that first and eat this can of chili, which means we are officially out of food. We did find one can when we went through the house, which was pretty nice and nifty, but it's definitely not going to have us surviving past the first day. So if we go ahead and just finish that mission in the daytime, go back to the trader, you can always buy food with the money that she gives you, or just find it by scouting. Also keep in mind that the animals, as you were hearing, so that is most likely an undead dog, and that is the bear, which you do not want to fight. While they do a lot of damage, they cannot climb up the stairway, so don't worry too much about it. That is also a dropped loot bag, but again, with a bear, and especially being the level that we are, I don't really advise fighting them melee. If we wanted to, we can quite literally poke the bear and see what happens. So go ahead and hold R to load up your stone arrows, or if you really wanted to, since we're fighting a bear, we can load up our iron arrows. Go ahead and crouch to try to get that sneak damage and aim for the head. So we got a 3.5 damage bonus. And since the bear is going to be kind of stuck there, we can kind of just keep shooting arrows at it. So if you really want some meat, this will be fantastic. If you want to risk it for the biscuit, the bear will despawn, so if you want to grab the meat before anything happens, just be wary of running zombies. And again, since we're so close to our base, you can kind of risk it, although I wouldn't suggest taking a hike out in the night, even if you're sneaking. And it kind of ran away. Dang it, bear, you're wasting my resources. He decided he wanted to use the front door. What a gentleman. I think he got in. All right. So, in the meantime, we didn't get to kill the bear. But what we can do is take our axe and kind of clean up the area a little bit. So we can gather some paper from these guys. We can also check inside this area. It doesn't look like there's anything in here. This isn't the optimal tool, but that's totally fine. Again, we're always making sure that this is at least somewhat in our sight, or we can hear them coming up because we want to make sure that the zombies don't have ample time to beat on this. I always advise a hatch over a door just because you can stand there and you can get headshots on them. And again, it's going to make your nighttime a little less boring, and they're also going to do less damage to your base if they believe that they have a way to get to you that is not tearing through your base first. I was right. There was nothing. I had to check. Sometimes they hide things from you. So we're going to go ahead and chop that guy up. They give us nitrate, which again, nitrate and coal makes gunpowder a little bit later, which is totally fine. If you want to leave this light up here, that's fine. Or I believe that the scrap's for some kind of scrap or mechanical parts. I don't remember if this has a door leading out, but this is an amazing supply cache. So you're going to find a bunch of cool stuff there. Before we hop down, I want to make sure that we can get out and we're not going to get trapped. So I want to make sure that we can have some ample wood frames to kind of nerd pull out. So if I made about 12, I think I'll feel pretty secure to go down there. And also, you can smelt broken glass to make a couple of things later, but it's not necessary. So if that's taking up one of your little blocks here, I just, especially at the beginning, advise tossing it. So we cannot repair this guy because I believe we've used all of our rocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrap this guy and oh my goodness, it only gives us wood. Okay. No! I have done the thing! I did the thing that I meant to not do. That's okay. There's a little bit of supplies here so we can get this medical stash. It's going to give us acid. Never, ever toss your acid. Acid is actually kind of harder to find. All right, so let's see here. If we could find just like a little pile of rubble, that would be great. Zombies out this way. Let's just see if we can peer down. I know that we're going to need our axe if we drop through to get all the supplies over there. So we just need to see if there's perhaps like a rock on the ground. I don't think... Oh, you know what? I lied to you. There's cinder blocks in there. We'll be absolutely fine. So let's just check this out. They can very much bust through these windows, but it'll take them a little bit of time to get through those upper and lower blocks. So this is fine. Those have insane amounts of health points. So we can go ahead and jump through there. Oh, no! We were just a couple of hits off. All right, let me see if I can punch this. It's been a hot second. If we can just get one rock, sir. We're just gonna Minecraft this. And there is one. Praise RNGesus. Thank you. So we can now repair this guy. I'm gonna tear through these so that doesn't happen again. It's a reminder to be mindful when you make arrows. It's really cool to just be like, yes, I can make all the arrows I can. Always keep one rock for your stone axe in the beginning. Now we can also go through this reinforced chest. And yes, we are going to equip this right away. This is at least some kind of armor. If we wanted to blow up that bear, we have some pipe bombs. And this is going to open up one more slot. So this is a single pocket mod. We also want to pay attention that this is a level 2, which does more damage. So let's scrap this guy. We're going to go into here. We can modify this guy, and the armor pocket mods only go into armor. It's a little bit common sense, but sometimes if you're going fast, you don't really realize it, and you get a little bit frustrated without reading that little minor detail that these cannot go into clothing. There are clothing pocket mods as well. There's singles and there's doubles. The singles you can make, the doubles you're going to have to find a recipe for. This is beautiful. I'm not going to throw the stone axe just on the off chance I forget again, and we're not close to being encumbered, so no big deal. We can't make a level 2 stone shovel, so I'm going to keep this one and scrap the other one since I'm not playing with anybody, and you can pretty much just fix that one infinitely. We can also get some stones out of here. But as you guys can see, this is why you find a rooftop. You can kind of just, even if you don't find one with a ladder, make that same contraption on top of the ladder. And rest assured that you will at least have a heads up if you have to go bop some zombie heads. It is not infallible. If you have a lot of zombies all at once, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So just be mindful that it does not mean that you are absolutely going to survive that night, just that your chances are pretty high. This is not a bad place to be. And again, we started on Navezgane, and if you would really like to, you can kind of look up where you want to go. And it all just depends on how you want to play, or if you want to do it very survival-like and just have no idea. Then you can go ahead and spawn into a map you have no idea and just don't look at the details for it, or go into a random gen map. All right. So we are going to go ahead and swap this one out. And we can just kind of scrap these because why not? It's nighttime. We're just getting as much supplies as we can. And there's another one right in here. And there's a bunch of hidden stuff and a lot of POIs. So kind of sleuthing around at night leisurely is not the worst thing that you can do in the world. This is a lead car battery, which again, you can smelt down to make bullets, or you can make other things out of it. If you wanted to know, you can go ahead and go into recipes. So this is going to be something necessary for the motorcycle, the mini bike, the gyrocopter, or the 4x4. So let's go ahead and continue scrapping through these guys. And let's get this top box real quick. Oops. Make sure not to hit the block underneath it. Sometimes, not literally this one, which we're doing, but sometimes when you hit things underneath, it does not fall and give you the item. It just falls and breaks. As you can see, these boxes kind of stuck here, but that is not a guarantee. Depending on what you're doing, the physics can be a little bit wonky. So we can open that. Lockpicks are very necessary. This is beautiful. I believe that this one has a little bit more health, maybe the same amount of health. We'll just go ahead and put that into our box, just because we're a little bit of a pack rat. It's a little bit difficult to get out of here, which is why I said not to jump down in any place without making some of these wood frames. So we can go ahead and do this to climb out of this hole. We'll just get up here and go back to this ladder. I was going to be embarrassed if I fell right there. And our place up here is holding up pretty strong. So this is Arlene, and she's been at this for a while. I really highly doubt that she can break through there. But if you're bored and it's nighttime, then I say why not? We could just kind of try to headshot her from up here. Or shoulder shot. I mean, that's fine too. And we still have our bear friend. Yogi is still kind of, he's chilling. We can meet him in the morning, but again, you want to keep your distance with that one. He's gonna provide a lot of meat if you can get through that. But there's also a wolf down there somewhere, so I don't want to risk it too much. And also, as you can see, some of your arrows you're going to be able to pull out of the zombie and recycle those. That's not a 100% chance. Again, it's just a 1 in whatever chance to be able to take your arrows back. But especially when you're, starting out and you don't have a ton of supplies, it's nice to make sure that when they do despawn, there's these little brown sacks that you'll understand when you see them. Just go ahead and hold it and pick them back up. So we can go ahead and take these guys. How many? We have 41 small stones. So let's see. The most we can make is 25, so we're good. We're not going to accidentally use all of our stones again. And then if you go back to this is the niftiest button you could possibly find in this game. So this moves items to fill up existing container stacks, which means if things can stack, they will automatically go, but it will not put your whole inventory in there. This button right next to it moves all of your items to the loot container, so just be wary of that. We're going to put the knuckle wraps back. We can keep the pipe bombs on our person since that's going to be really helpful, especially with the bear outside. And I'm going to swap this nicer stone axe while keeping these two in here just for a rainy day. The wire tools you'll need later. You're going to find hundreds of them. Just go ahead and scrap them or sell them or whatever you want to do. You only need one. And even if you have multiple people, I highly doubt there's going to be a time when you need 2 of those. And for the meantime, you can put some of these guys away as well. That is a crossbow bolt, which we won't have for a while unless we kind of just find one. Unless we're going back to the trader, and even if we are, 3 dukes is not a ton. And this is not a bad place to be. I'm not sure if I would exactly survive our 7th day here, but I would argue that even if we did survive our 7th day here, that this would not be the worst base in the entire world. Oftentimes, if you check out any of my Twitch streams, I do permadeaths, and this is definitely what we do up until day almost 50-something. I love the early game way more than I like the late game, and usually this kind of setup is what I rely on even late into the game. So what I typically do to make sure that this is good for a horde night or any kind of just excessive zombie-esque chonga line. Conga. I was thinking chimichanga. I think I'm hungry. Anyways, for any kind of excessive conga line of zombies coming through, if you just keep making this design, you'll pretty much be okay. I typically like to keep these ones open, so just be wary of how many of these you put on. I think that the limit might be around 10, but again, as soon as I tell you a number, it's going to be wrong. And I don't want to get you killed. You're definitely going to be fine around 4 or 5, though, so don't worry so much about that one. So I'm just going to upgrade these if I had more wood, which I don't. So let me see if we can find some wood somewhere around here. These do respawn, but check what your settings are, if it respawns every 30 days or whatnot. We can at least get some feathers from here and make some more arrows. Except we don't have wood, so don't worry about it. So we put all of those frames in here. If we wanted to, we can also go back through here, mind you. And we can pick up some of these planks on the ground, which again, just utilizing your resources when you're at night in your base is going to be great. Oh my goodness, that bear is clipping through. Be wary of the bear, but it will take him some time to get through these. And I'm not quite sure if we can shoot through these. I don't recall at this second, but we'll see when it happens. So let's go ahead and collect some wood so we can upgrade those frames. And the point of that hallway is that we're going to also upgrade it and line it with some hatches. So if you're not paying attention or you need some time to heal, when you're fighting them right next to the ladder, that if they break through one hatch, there's other hatches for them to get through. And they're pretty easy to heal up. Or if you have just a space where there's no zombies, you can throw down another hatch real quick, which is why, as much as people might love the killing corridor, the killing hallway is its arguably efficient cousin. Alright. I believe he jumped. Yes. So you can shoot through these. Let's just shoot his butt real quick. And since it's daylight, it's going to be perfectly safe as long as we don't run into that wolf, his friendo over there, that if we do kill him, we could take his meat. We can take some burnt meat, no big deal. Not the tastiest. It'll take a little bit of water away, but water is not too hard to find. And we do have ample resources of it at this second. All right, so let's see if we can upgrade any of these. So we're going to lower this. And this has a beautiful cage for them to kind of go up. And I don't know why it matters. Oh, we do have to be careful of the bear who is roaming. I almost half forgot about it. But as you can see of this design, if you just throw more hatches down here, the zombies can't jump up. So you're going to have ample room for headshots. The only issue that you're going to run into is if the spider zombies come up here, that can be a little bit of a hassle. They will start smacking at these, and they are kind of at ankle level, so those might get a couple of bites on you. Make sure that you have some honey for your 7th day or any of those complications. What I usually do when the spiders jump up here is I smack all the zombies that are tall enough. I put this guy down, and then as soon as the zombie spider crawls up, I put it right back up behind him, and I start to hit him as he makes his way down the hallway. It's not perfect, but especially for your first day, this is not a bad way to survive. And if you can survive your first day and get somewhat of a footing, if you can make some ample food and find your trader, you're going to do just fine, and you're going to be able to survive. Most likely, if you can find any POI like this, or if you can find a flat roof and just have a ladder up and have that nice hallway going, your 7th day is going to look absolutely beautiful. So now that we've survived the first day until daylight on the 2nd day, yeah, that's just surviving your first day. So anyways, if you liked this video and my tangenting, go ahead and, oh my goodness, I don't have the YouTuber thing up. Okay, like and subscribe, and tell me how you guys like to survive your first day. Do you also run for a flat roof? Is there anything special that you do? Do you put your perk points in a different way? Just let me know. And thanks for checking me out today.